What's up, everybody? It's your favorite hood healer. It's your favorite hood high priestess. It's your favorite motivational dominatrix. It's your favorite auntie, captain, goddess, king, LadySpeech in the place to be. And I want to welcome you back to this here channel. You could be anywhere in the world. As a matter of fact, you are somewhere in the world, and you're also sharing a bit of time and space with me right here and right now. So thank you, thank you, thank you. If you like what I'm doing, if you like what you see, if you're feeling this and if you're feeling me, make sure you hit the like button. Make sure you hit that subscribe button, and make sure you hit that notifications bell, because you would want to keep up with all of these here shenanigans. All right, now today's video is a juicy one, so let's dive all the way up into it, shall we? What's up, y'all? So as you can see from today's title, we about to get all the way into it. We about to get all the way into it. We about to get all of the way into it. Today we talking about submission, and we're coming from the kink community, the D&S community, the Dom sub community, and I'm also coming from the perspective of marriage, okay? My perspective that I'm coming from is that of, number one, a dominatrix who is also a switch, and number two, an ordained minister who has married people. Yes, your girl is an ordained minister. Your king can marry you. So coming from that perspective, and this video was inspired by exactly three things. Number one, a series of statuses that I put up last week. Number two, this whole Derek Jackson situation that has been going around. And if you don't know who Derek Jackson is, you can pause this video, or you can put a note in that and look him up when we're done with this here discussion. And number three, once again, coming from TikTok, some things that I have witnessed on TikTok that I have wanted to address. So that is what this video is inspired by, and we're going to take a drive around this city while we discuss it. So let's get into it. Before I get to breaking down these points, what I want to say is this. I do not believe that submission is someone who is less than giving their power to someone who is more than. I don't come from that perspective. When it comes to how I define and how I see and how I operate in regards to the definition of submission, my definition of submission is a person, a being becomes more with. When they give their submission to a worthy person, when they offer the gift of their submission to someone who is equipped and trained to handle that submission, when they give that submission, it is not because they are less than. It is not because they are less valuable. It is not because they are less powerful, okay? I come from the perspective that when you offer your submission in whatever capacity, you are already whole and complete onto yourself. You are powerful onto yourself. And then when you give this submission, when you offer this submission up to a worthy being, when you offer this submission up in a situation that is prepared and understands what to do with your submission, then you become enhanced. You become more with that submission, okay? So I don't operate, first and foremost, I wanted to clear that up and let you understand where I was coming from when it comes to submission. I don't think that in a marriage or in a dom and sub relationship, or even in religion, because when it comes to spiritual practice, there's a lot of places where we end up offering up our submission. So I do not believe that any of those situations are situations where any of those people who are doing the offering of their submission are less than. I don't come from that perspective. So now that that's cleared up and out of the way, let's get deeper into it. So something I've noticed in the kink community, and also something that I've noticed in especially in the heterosexual sphere, never forget I'm pansexual and I'm part of the alphabet mafia. But what I've noticed in the heterosexual sphere when it comes to marriage and in the kink community is that we spend an awful lot of time talking to the folks who submit about their submission. And we we spend an awful lot of time hyper focused on what it is to be a good submissive in relationships, or in a heterosexual romantic relationship, and also in the kink community. We spend a lot of time talking about what the submissive should be doing, their protocol, how they should act. I noticed this a lot in the heterosexual romantic space, okay, where we oftentimes focus in on the woman submitting to the man, because that is how Abrahamic religion set up the hierarchy of relationships. The man leads and all that good stuff. And if that's what you do, that's what you do. I'm not here to critique that. I'm not here to say that's wrong or whatever. I'm not here to critique that. What I am here to offer, though, is a little bit of critique in regards to the people who ask for submission. What I am here to offer is some tips and tricks for people who are submissive, be it in the kink space or be it in the marriage space, in order to help you choose better dominance, help you choose better partners, help you choose people who are going to honor your submission, who are going to respect your submission, and who are going to cherish your submission, and who are going to also take care of you and not abuse you. So today we're going to get into some tips and tricks that I have developed, I have been taught, I have seen, I have learned through trial and error over the years of being an ordained minister, of studying relationships, and also of being in the kink life myself, of being in the lifestyle myself, from the perspective of being a dominant and being a dominatrix, and also from the perspective of being a submissive, because I'm a switch at heart, okay? I know what it takes to give your submission to someone, and I know what it takes to earn the submission from someone. So let's do this. In the case of marriage and D&S relationships, and from here on out, when I say D&S, I'm referring to Dom and Sub relationships. In the case of D&S relationships and in the case of marriage, never, ever, ever, never, ever, ever, never, ever, ever give your submission to someone who refuses to get to know you completely and thoroughly. What do I mean by that? What do I mean by that? Your husband, your spouse, your dom should know you. And they should make the effort to know you completely and thoroughly. And they should make the effort continuously to get to know you completely and thoroughly. Never give your submission to someone who refuses to get to know you completely and thoroughly. What are the benefits of your dom knowing you completely and thoroughly? Well, they're going to get to know your mental illness. They're going to get to know your triggers. They're going to get to know your traumas. They're going to get to know the things that make you happy. They're going to get to know the things that make you sad. They're going to get to know the things that make you tick. They're going to get to know the things that piss you off. They're going to get to know the things that have created and crafted the wonderful, magnificent being you are. And a good dom, a good spouse, is going to use this information to help lead the family, to help lead the unit, to help lead the relationship in the direction it should go. A good dom, a good spouse, is that, especially if y'all are operating in regards to dominance and submission, they're going to want to get to know the person that they are dealing with. They're going to want to get to know the person that they are developing this deep connection and relationship with. And they're going to want to get to know them thoroughly. They're going to want to understand what makes their mind work. They're going to want to understand the things that have gone into play to create and craft them into the person that they are. They're going to want to understand that. And they're going to use that information for the good of the relationship. They're going to use that information to enhance their spouse or their submissive. They're going to use that information for their partner's highest good. Do not give your submission to a dom who doesn't get to know you, who doesn't get to know your likes or dislikes. Do not give your submission to a spouse who doesn't get to know your triggers as far as mental illness goes. Do not give your submission to anyone that is not out here trying to get to know you. Getting to know you is a sign of honor, and it's a sign of value. So do not give your submission to someone who refuses to get to know you. Tip number two. Tip number two. Do not give your submission to someone who is not interested in knowing about your mental health and well-being. Do not give your submission to someone who isn't at all interested in understanding your history in regards to mental illness, if you're dealing with it, or any type of mental anything that you've got going on. Do not give your submission in regards to romantic relationship or in regards to kink life. Don't give your submission to just everybody and anybody, and especially not to someone who's not watching out or interested in your mental health and well-being. Let me tell you that most of us who are drawn to the kink life have suffered in some way, shape, or form with something, with some type of abuse, some type of mental illness, some type of something. And it is very true that you have probably been with someone in partnership, in romantic relationship, in sexual intercourse that has been dealing with mental health issues. So don't give your submission to someone who's not interested in your mental health and well-being, because your mental health is going to be a factor in your marriage, and your mental health is going to be a factor in your kink life. And when these things arise, good, bad, ugly, or in between, you need to have a partner who is invested in treating you with respect, treating you with kindness, honoring what you have going on, and honoring your wellness. You need to have a partner that is invested in not abusing you mentally, emotionally, and otherwise, and who's also invested in contributing to your life in a good way in this capacity, be it from a spouse perspective or be it from a dom perspective. You are going to move into dangerous territory if you give your submission to someone who does not attempt to get to know what your issues are. You are not going to fare well if you get into a relationship, a dom-sub relationship, or a romantic relationship with someone who absolutely refuses to take your mental health seriously. I've watched a lot of people in the kink world come up even more damaged because their dom wasn't paying attention to their mental health stuff, or their dom was so caught up in their own mental health struggles and they had not created protocol to care for their subs mental health struggles, that things went haywire. I've also seen so many times in relationships where the woman or the femme or the person who is supposed to be submissive comes in there wanting to trust, seeking safe space, and them being absolutely damaged because this spouse, this dom, not only didn't provide a safe space for them, but also stood on top of their triggers, stood on top of the symptoms of abuse, and made the situation worse, mentally, emotionally, physically, in a lot of ways. So do not be with someone who doesn't value your mental health, who doesn't want to know your mental health story, who is not invested in learning your best practices, who is not invested in understanding what you got going on. I'm going to tell you this as a dom. Every client that I work with and every person that I work with who's my personal sub, their mental health comes into play in a scene. It always happens. 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 It doesn't happen like every single time, but if I work with you long enough, as a dom, and also I know this from the sub experience too, if I work with someone long enough as a sub, my mental illness is gonna come out. My trauma, my pain is gonna come out, it's gonna surface. So when I am with a dom who understands my struggles, we are much better at aftercare, and we are much better at making sure that I get out of the scene without being further damaged. As a dom, when I am equipped to deal with my subs' mental illness, when it comes up in a scene, when it comes up when we're doing our work, when it comes up in our kink play, I am so equipped to be able to deal with them in a healthy way, to deal with them in a loving way, and to deal with them in the best way. Because when I understand what they're working with, and when we've discussed best practices, this enables me to deal with them in ways that doesn't further damage them, but it allows me to structure our play, to structure our scenes, to structure our kink life in a way that enhances and contributes to their mental well-being, to their healing. It creates less opportunities for our kink life to harm the person I'm dealing with, okay? In regards to spouses, whoever you are closest to, whoever you spend the most time with, is the people that you're going to be the realest with. They're going to get the realest of your joy. They're going to get the realest of your love. They're also going to get the realest of your pain, your suffering, and your trauma. So if you're going to be in a romantic relationship with someone, you're going to be in a type of relationship that is about dominance and submission, giving your submission to a partner, to your husband, make sure that they are very equipped to handle your mental health issues. You shouldn't be shouldering that alone. The role of a dom is ultimately actually to be of service. Remember when I talked to y'all earlier in the video about the fact that being a submissive doesn't mean you are less than? Many times the role of a dom is about service. It's about servicing. They're submissive because their submissive has power in that relationship. Their submissive has power. They're not less than. So that said on that, do not be with anybody. Do not give your submission in a romantic relationship or a dominant or a DS relationship where your mental health and well-being is not being honored or acknowledged. And that brings us to point number 3. Do not give your submission to someone who believes that they are inherently greater than you at every level. At every level. At fundamental levels, at all the levels. Do not give your submission to someone who thinks that they are greater than you because of their gender or because they have a personality trait that is dominant. Don't do it. Don't do it. Don't do it. Red flag number 1, and you can tell in a person's language, body language and actual physical language, if they think you are less than. And if they think you are less than, then baby, don't do it. Don't give your submission to someone who thinks that you are less than because you are submissive. This brings me back to the beginning of the video where I said, being a submissive is not being less than. Being a submissive is about being enhanced with. Is about becoming more with, okay? It is a red flag. It is an absolute positive 1000% red flag for a dom or a spouse to require your submission because they think you aren't worthy or because they think you are beneath them. That right there points to an opportunity for abuse. Physical, spiritual, mental, or otherwise. Don't do it. 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 Do not give your submission to these type of people. Do not. Because you are worth more. You are worth more. You are worth more. And someone being a dominant figure is not someone who is greater than you. Again, dominance and submission, y'all are both equal. Y'all are both equal. Dominance and submission, y'all are both equal. And you play different roles. You play different roles. That's it. In a marriage, no one's better. In a DS relationship, no one is better. We play roles. We play roles. And the roles that we play help us to satisfy aspects of our personality. That's it. I'm not greater. I'm not less. These are parts of my personality. Do not be with people who inherently believe that you are less than because of what you like or because of your personality trait. Don't do it. Because that may open you up to a whole lot of abuse. Don't do it. Point number whatever. Never give your submission to someone who refuses to protect you. And I mean that in all the ways. I mean that in all the ways. I mean that in all the ways. Never give your submission to someone who refuses to protect you physically, who will not defend you physically. Never give your submission to someone who refuses to protect you financially. Never give your submission to someone who refuses to protect you emotionally. Never give your submission to someone who refuses to protect you emotionally. All the ways, mentally, all the ways. Your person that you give your submission to should be able to defend you. And if they don't have the army, the strength, the will to defend you, the resources, you need to do something different. You need to do something different. Do not give your submission to someone who can't protect you. Do not give your submission to someone who cannot defend you. Do not give your submission. And I don't care if this is a romantic space. I don't care if it's a DM space. I don't care if it is I don't care what space it is. I said DM and I meant DS. I don't care what space that it is in. When you are in the submissive territory and when you absolutely give up submission from a very pure perspective, you are vulnerable. You are vulnerable. You are vulnerable. You are vulnerable. And your dom, your spouse, should recognize this. And they should do everything in their power to protect you. Let me tell you something. When my subs become my subs, nothing will harm you without answering to me. And answering to me can mean a lot of things. But my subs, because they have offered me the gift of their submission, it is my duty to defend them. It is my duty to protect them. It is my duty and it is my honor. It is my duty and it is my honor. Meaning I want to defend them. I want to make sure that they're safe. I want to make sure that they are good. I want to make sure that they are protected. I want it. It's an honor. It's an honor. It's an honor. It's an honor to protect them. It's an honor to uplift them. It's an honor to make sure that nobody comes for them. And I take that on. Also because I can. I'm equipped. I've been trained. I know what I'm doing. Don't give your submission to someone who won't protect you. And lastly, my loves, never ever give your submission to someone who refuses to listen to you and to hear you. Never do it. I don't care if it's your spouse. I don't care if it's your DS. I don't care. Never, ever give your submission to someone who refuses or who cannot or who has not been trained, who has not been taught to actively listen to you. Don't give your submission to someone who isn't paying attention to your inflections, your speech patterns, your spirit, and the way you speak on all of those levels, mentally, emotionally, physically. Never give your submission to people who do not hear you, people who do not listen to you, don't do it. Because in the end, it's going to work against you. If you choose someone who refuses or doesn't have the ability to hear you, to see you, to listen to you, it will be to your detriment. So do not choose lovers. Do not choose doms. Do not choose spouses that refuse or who were not trained and not interested in training themselves to hear you, to see you, to know you. Don't do it. Don't do it. Don't do it. You deserve to be seen. You deserve to be held. You deserve to be uplifted. So don't do it. And that's that on that. And that's that on period. And that's that on Mary Had a Little Lamb. Hello, goodbye. Thank you so very much for tuning in to this video. I appreciate you. If you made it to the end of this video, gold star for you. And I thank you so very much. Once again, you know the drill. If you're feeling this, if you're feeling me, if you like what I'm doing, if you like what you see, make sure you hit that like button. Make sure you hit that subscribe button. And make sure you hit that notifications bell so you can keep up with all of these shenanigans. I have a feeling that this is not going to be the first time I address this subject on my channel. I look forward to dissecting it with all of you. And thank you for tuning in and listening. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. So, with that being said, but no matter what, you do you. Thank you for tuning in. Thank you for watching. Thank you for your support. Make sure you hit the like, the subscribe, the bell, all of that stuff. And I will see you in the next video. Peace.